Assalamu alaikum. Can jinns shapeshift? And we talked about it, yes. And in the last video, I asked you if you want to learn about the types of jinns, and you said yes, inshallah, we will work on that as well. However, in the meanwhile, we can take another question. And that question is, can angels shapeshift? And if so, can humans see angels? Well, humans, as far as prophets are concerned, or messengers are concerned, they can see angels in other forms without they having to do shape-shifting. Because similarly, prophets and messengers can see jinns without jinns having to do shape-shifting. And we have talked about it in the past, and if you're interested, we can bring in more stories where prophets saw jinns and other people, they can't see jinns in their original forms until and unless jinns do shape-shifting. Same goes with angels, because just like jinns have been created from a totally different material or matter, angels have been created from a different matter. Jinns have been created from smokeless fire, which is the fire in its original pure form, purest form of the fire. Let me put it this way. So as Adam alayhi salam was created through the 7-stage process, and then in the end, it was the purified extraction from where Adam alayhi salam was created at the 7th step. Similarly, angels have been created from light that you and I cannot see with our naked eyes. But prophets, due to their spirituality being elevated to a level where they can see angels without a problem, where other people cannot even see angels. So, angels have shape-shifted to human forms for humans other than prophets and messengers to see them. 2 of those stories I will tell you from the Quran. One story is from Ibrahim alayhi salam's time, when angels came as human beings and they were going towards the people of Lut alayhi salam to destroy them. And on that journey, they went past Ibrahim alayhi salam and to tell them the good news about the birth of Prophet Isaac or Ishaq alayhi salam. And they wanted to reveal to him, Ibrahim alayhi salam, themselves as human beings, because their job was not to just reveal themselves to Ibrahim alayhi salam alone, but also to his wife Sarah or Sarah. So that's exactly where they came as humans. And we see more than one angels in that account, that multiple angels came and all appeared in human form, so Ibrahim alayhi salam and his wife Sarah could see them. And without going into the details of the story, I just wanted to mention that one story that's in the Quran. Another story that's in the Quran in Surah Maryam, where we see that an angel appeared to Maryam, the mother of Jesus, who is not a prophet, who is not a messenger, because a woman has never been given that particular position to be a prophet or a messenger, but has been the mother or sister or daughter of prophet and a messenger, and has been honored differently. And we'll talk about that at some other time. So that's another incident. We see that an angel appears to Mary, Maryam alayhi salam, and tell her about the coming of Jesus, and that whole story that we have talked about at different times in the past. I've mentioned to you several times in my khutbahs that I've given in the masjid, and then in some other lectures I've talked about it. But inshallah, if we can cover it in detail at some other time. But that's another story. We see that. The third story that we see is a very, very famous hadith, the hadith of Jibra'il, where Jibra'il alayhi salam came as a human being, and companions say that we were sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Masjid al-Nabawi, and a man came who looked like a stranger. We have never seen him before, and looked like he might have come from far away distance because nobody knew him, but from his outward appearance, it didn't feel like as if he has even traveled. Because usually if you travel in deserts for a long distance, your clothes can get dirty, and your whole system is shouting out loud that I have traveled through the desert, in the desert heat. But he was appearing as if he just came out of one room into this mosque. So that was once he asked some questions to the Prophet ﷺ, and Prophet responded to those questions. And then when he left, the Prophet asked companions, do you know who this man was? And they said no. And he said, this was Jibreel, who came to teach you your religion. And then another story we find in the seerah of Prophet ﷺ, when the battle of Ditch, the battle of Khandaq was done, and Banu Qurayza, who turned against Muslims in the middle of the battle, and that's when the battle of Ditch was done. The Prophet ﷺ came home. He took shower. He took off his armor, and he was just ready to relax. Means we're done with the war. And that's exactly when Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha says that there was a knock on the door, and the Prophet ﷺ went out and had a conversation with the man who was on the horse. And Aisha radiallahu anha said the man was Dahya Kalbi, and I know Dahya, but I couldn't understand why Dahya came. And the Prophet ﷺ rushed inside the house. He wore his armor, and then he made an announcement that we are going to war against the Banu Qurayza, the tyrants who turned against us in the middle of the battle. And angels have already approached the battlefield of Banu Qurayza. So, O humans, you must also rush as well. So, O companions, you must also rush as well. So, Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha thought that man that the Prophet was having a conversation with was Dahya. And that was, in fact, Jibreel alayhi salam. The Prophet said that was Jibreel alayhi salam who came to tell us that, O Prophet, why did you take out your armor? Angels have not yet taken out their armors from the battle of Ditch. Now angels are heading towards Banu Qurayza, the tyrants who left you in the middle of the battlefield and met with the enemy side. So now, since they joined the enemy side, they are the tyrants that must be accordingly punished. So anyway, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told that was not Dahya, and that was Jibreel alayhi salam. And Dahya was one of the companions of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Jibreel had come in multiple times in the form of Dahya, and that was one of those forms. And let me tell you a fifth story. I'm going to call it a day today, and that was Hassan radiallahu anhu, the grandson of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dahya always used to bring something sweet for the grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one day Jibreel came, and he was in the form of Dahya. So that, when he's roaming around the streets of Medina, or when people spot him in Medina, they wouldn't get shocked as to who is the stranger, and would rather be like, oh, this is Dahya, might be visiting the Prophet. So at that time, Hassan radiallahu anhu he was a little boy, maybe 2-3 years old. So very, very young man, so very young boy. So he started pulling the clothes of Jibreel, thinking it was Dahya, saying, oh, Dahya, where is that sweet that you usually bring for us? And the Prophet ﷺ said to Hassan, Ya Hassan, this is not Dahya, this is Jibreel. Leave him alone. He doesn't have sweets for you. So anyway, I hope you would have enjoyed these stories, and this would have helped you understand that how angels can actually shift forms and can take different forms. So once Jibreel alayhi salam came, and companions saw him as a stranger, and in another time he took the form of Dahya. We don't know in what form he went to Maryam alayhi salam, but probably was of a form that Maryam didn't know him from before. That's why she was shocked to see him. When you start reading Surah Maryam, you will know that. Similarly, Ibrahim alayhi salam, who has met Jibreel alayhi salam on several occasions, when he came with some other angels this time, Ibrahim alayhi salam thought that these were strangers, travelers traveling past his land. So angels can shapeshift and come in different forms. They don't always take the same form all the time. Inshallah, we'll talk about this shape-shifting again about angels, because angels can also appear in other forms besides the human forms, but that's for another time. Till then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.